Hello, welcome to episode 264 of the Craft House Magic podcast. My name's Ellie and today I'm going to share with you all the garmenty goodness I've got planned for this year. I am so excited. So first of all, I've got a section of 9 garments that I want to make for me. I've got a few things that I want to make for the house, and then I've got a section of 9 things that I want to make for Jensen as well, and these are all garments, so there's lots of garments in today's episode. So there's 24 pattern ideas for you today if you're looking to make a list for what you fancy making for this year. But I will have a section on Ask Me Anything from a question from the Lavellee group, which was about some advent minis, a section about what's occurring, and a little information on my shop update at the end of the podcast. Jensen isn't well this week, so he's not going to have an appearance. He's on the mend, but just not feeling very good today, so I'm not going to pester him. So, knitting projects for adults. Right, so I have been knitting on number 1. This is the Comfort Fade Cardi by Andrea Mowry that I've started last year, but I only started it in December, so I thought I'll still have it on my number 1 for Make 9 this year. Partly because I did most of it in January anyway, and I've pretty much done all the sleeves and the body of the cardigan. I've just got to do the neckband, which is quite a wide neckband, but I've done quite a lot already, so I'm quite pleased about that. Only trouble is, you can see that my cuff for my second sleeve is still on the needles. Now this is because, silly me, forgot to change my needles for the cuff section. So if you look at the 2 cuffs, one is quite a lot bigger than the other. Not sure if you can see that on camera, but it is wider. It's too bulky, this one here, and also it's slightly longer as well because I've obviously done the wrong needle size. How many times have I done this already? The same mistake, forgetting to change needle size on things. I don't know. But the fact that I've done the first one correct, I'm going to pull this back and do it again. But I love the effect of these yarns. So the yarns that I am using are from my mini skein set 10. I might actually bring some of these out as full skein colourways in the future because I absolutely love them. And you blend the colours on the cuff as well as the body sections, and the right side is the pearl bump side. And now I didn't think I was going to like it being the pearl bump the right side, but I think that the fade bit looks so nice on the pearl bump side, so I'm really pleased about how that's come out. I knitted the sleeves actually so that it's the knit side out, so I can just knit quickly because pearl takes me a bit longer. I just find that it's a much smoother process to do this to the knit. I don't really mind doing pearl, but it is come out a little bit quicker, I think. So sleeves are nearly there. I just need to re-knit that cuff, which is annoying. What I'm going to do actually is I'll try the cardigan on so you can see what it looks like. So here we are. You can see, obviously I haven't done the neckband yet, so that will be stopping it from curling up. It curls up quite a lot, but I think that's going to fit really nicely. I did choose a size that was no ease so that it won't be really baggy on me. I chose it because I like quite a tight fit, but because I'm knitting it with the merino always gives a little bit, so I think that'll give me that little bit of extra room if I need it. I might not need it anyway, but I think the sleeves seem to fit nicely, and I've got it on top of quite a thick dress. It's just that this keeps curling up, which is a bit annoying. But the actual neckband folds over on itself, so it comes out quite squishy and lovely. But I love the way these colours have faded on the back. Really pleased with how that came out. And I'm really pleased with how the cuffs look, apart from the fact I did the one in the wrong needle size. But I love the squishiness of these cuffs. I have knitted these on the right side, and you can see there is a slight dent where I did magic loop, but that is going to block out easily. It's not a mega groove along the back, but I do love the way the colours blend, and I am definitely very excited about wearing this properly. So I'm hoping that by next week I can get this finished, or maybe the week after, but hopefully by the end of the month anyway, and I can get one off my Make 9 list done. So this is a DK weight yarn, and it requires 4 different colours, 2 skeins per colourway for at least the size that I'm knitting. I think it's the medium, I think it's a 42-inch bust that I'm knitting. But I love it. What I am going to do, I think, actually, is when I do the neckband, I'm going to do it the opposite way round. So I'm going to start with the grey, which is on the bottom of the cardigan, and then knit up to the darker colours, so that when it's folded over, I've got the darker colours at the top here and at the edges, so that you can really see that, because otherwise if I knit it the other way, there's not going to be much of the darkest colour, and that's the bit that I love the most, I think. So that's what I'm going to do. When I knitted the sleeves inside out, what I noticed was that I needed to make sure that I run my ends on the sort of outside, because I was knitting it the wrong way out, and also when I got to the garter stitch cuff, it says about doing obviously you've got the knit and the purl rows to do the garter stitch cuff, but I actually started on the opposite to what she said, because I was knitting it the wrong way, so that the stripes came out really nicely. Because if you look on the other side, they're a little bit more blurred compared to this one. I like the way it sort of comes out really nice and neat. But there we go. I am so excited about getting this done. But you can see that it looks like it'll fit. It's just that it's curling up quite a lot. So I'll need to get that blocked before I can actually see the full loveliness of the garment. So there we go. But isn't that fade lovely? I'm loving the DK weightness of this. I have previously avoided DK weight because I thought it was too thick and heavyweight for me, but now I just feel the cold so much I need more DK in my wardrobe. So I'm going to take this off and get on to the rest of the Make 9 list. So that is the Comfort Fade Cardi by Andrea Mowry, and that I've said it's a DK weight, but I thought I'd talk about the size ranges that each of these patterns go to, just so that you know as a reference. I think a lot more of these patterns these days are such a better size range than they used to be. I used to really struggle to get things to fit, but now it's so much easier. So the size range is 33 to 63 inches, or that's 84 to 160 centimetres. So I think that's a pretty good size range. So now on to number 2 on my list. So I'm really excited about the Campside Cosy. Now this was on Make 9 list last year, but I'm putting it on this one as well because I'm still enthusiastic about it. It is by Alicia Plummer, and it's another DK weight pattern, and the size range goes between 34 inches to 70 inches, or that's 86 centimetres to 177 centimetres. So that's another brilliant size range as well. The Campside Cosy is a DK cardigan that's got some lovely lace pattern around the bottom. I think she does a shawl as well that's got a similar lace pattern on as well. Just a nice basic pattern, not too holy obviously because it's quite a thick cardigan, but I just thought that's really lovely. There is a tie that goes around the waist. I'm not quite sure whether I'd wear it or not. I might make it and see, and then I can always knit the waist tie afterwards, see if I'll actually wear it. Try it on first. I thought that I could knit the Campside Cosy in this colour. So this is by Nightshift colour. This actually is in a merino and nylon fingering weight, but I am going to dye it up in a merino DK, so it'll look similar to this. I think merino always has a little bit of a shine to it, so it'll look like the same shine as this, but in the same colour, but just a little bit thicker. So that's what I'm planning on knitting my Campside Cosy in. So the next one is the Ariana cardigan. And this one is a combination between knitting and crochet, which I absolutely love. It's that little bit of granny square, but I like the way that it's finished with knitting rib as well, because I think that just really gives it a nice professional finish. This is a free pattern. So the patterns that I'm going to talk to you about, I won't bother telling you how much they are unless they're free. So, which is very important. There are only 2 sizes though in this. It's knitted in worsted weight yarn, and there's a 40 inch or a 65 inch size, so that's 101 centimetres or 165 centimetres. So I think I'd probably go for the 40 inch one, and if I knitted it in merino it would have a little bit more give, because I don't like them being too oversized. So you've only got those two sizes, but 65 inches or 165 inches is quite a big size top range, and the 40-inch is obviously it can be oversized anyway if you're slim, so I think that would be okay for quite a slim person as well. But I thought that that would be really nice. I don't even know what colours I'm going to do it in yet. I have been pondering over this for the last year, and that is why I hadn't already started it, because it's such a gorgeous pattern. I just thought it would be a nice representation of crochet as well, because I do like crochet. I don't tend to gravitate towards crocheted garments for some reason, but this one, love it. Number 4 is the Forestland jumper by Jennifer Steinglass. This is another DK weight jumper. So the size range goes from 36.5 to 37.5 inches, or 91 to 169 centimetres. So you've still got quite a good size range there, and I just thought, I love this. In fact, the thing that brought it back into the front of my mind is I know that Shannon from Blue Fern Yarns has got one, and I saw her wearing one when we met up once, and I just thought, right, I really need to knit that. That's going to the top of my list. It's got some beautiful colour work on the yoke, and I thought, again, I'm going to be using the same colourway as the I'm going to do for the Campside Cosy, but this is going to be the contrast colour, and I thought I'd use these two colours for the Forestland jumper. This for the main body. This is called Superstition, and this one is the Nightshift, and I thought those two together is going to be quite a wow jumper. I think I'm going to knit this actually in my Highland DK non-superwash yarn. So the Forestland sweater is another DK, so it will be a DK Highland wool non-superwash yarn that I'll be knitting it in. The number 5 is the Swallow sweater. Now this is a fingering weight sweater, and the designer, I'm probably going to make a mess of this, so I'm going to put them in the show notes so you'll be able to see the actual designer's names. Maschennunder, Manja, Vogelsang. I'm sorry if I've said it wrong. So this swallow sweater is absolutely gorgeous. It's fingering weight, so it's going to take a while, but the size range goes from 80 centimetres to 150 centimetres, so it's quite a good size range. In the pattern it does say that there is a different arrangement of the swallows for different sizes, so that'll be interesting to see which one I'd get for my size. To be honest, the ones that are on the Ravelry pages, they all looked lovely, even though they were slightly different, so I thought that would be really exciting to have a go at that, because it's absolutely gorgeous. I have not decided on what colours I'm going to do for that one, but hopefully I'll get that done this year as well. We shall see. There's a lot of these garments but they are DK, a lot of them, so hopefully they can be done a lot quicker than the fingering weight ones. Number 6 is the field sweater. Now as soon as this came out I was like, oh, I love it. There's also a hat to go with it as well, I saw. But the field sweater has got this gorgeous, it sort of looks like wheat hanging around from the neckline, but it's beautiful textured pattern. It's another DK pattern. It's by Camila, the same lady who did the Magnolia Bloom jumper that I've got from I showed you on the last episode. The size range is from 94 to 142 centimetres. There's 9 sizes. They're just numbered 1 to 9, so it's a reasonable size range, although it doesn't go up to a higher size range as some of the other ones that I've talked about today. But it's gorgeous. I love it. I'm thinking that I need to knit it in one of my bases that's got an underlying colour, because I really like the one in the picture that she's got as an example. There's really different tones in that yarn, and it really brings out the textured pattern around the neck, so I'm thinking that I should do something like that. But I think I'm going to go for quite a nice bright colour this time. I'm not quite sure what colour to pick. I seem to want everything in this blue at the moment. but I must not do that. I must pick different colours so that I've got a nice varied wardrobe. So that's number 6. Number 7 is the Wonder by Tin Can Knits. Now this I'd knitted, or Adam's mum had knitted for Jensen, and I showed it on last week's video. It is gorgeous. I just love the sort of boat neckline and those simple cable detail on the front, and the size goes from a newborn to 6XL, which is 19.5 inches to 70 inches. What a fantastic size range. Absolutely fantastic. And it is a sport weight jumper. So I'm going to have to knit that. It's so beautiful. I probably won't knit it in the one that matches Jensen's because he's going to grow out of that anyway. I'll just knit him another one to match mine. But that is just gorgeous. I am a big fan of Tin Can Knits patterns at the moment, just because I have a son and a husband, and then it'll fit us all, which is fantastic, because I'm quite a big lady, Adam's quite a small man, and then a tiny child as well, and for it to fit all 3 sizes, I think that's absolutely brilliant. The patterns do come up a little bit pricier. I think it said $9 US, which I don't know how much that is in UK, but it's a little bit more than some of the other patterns. But how much size range have you got there, and what a potential you could knit loads of these. So anyway, that was number 7. Number 8 is another Tin Can Knits pattern. It is the Love Note. Now, I saw one from my friend Karen, and she had one on, I think it was the East Anglia Yarn Festival, and I thought, ooh, people have been going on about this pattern, and I've been missing out here, seeing Karen's, so I thought this has got to go on my list. And she was telling me how quick it was to knit, so Karen, if it takes me ages, it's your fault. So that is the Love Note by Tin Can Knits, and the size range is 0 to 6 months right up to 6XL, which is 24.5 inches to 80.5 inches, so that is even bigger. That's fantastic. And that is a DK weight jumper. But I think people do it in different weights of yarn, the Love Note. I'll have to, obviously when I purchase the pattern, I can read a bit more into it and tell you a bit more about it, but it is written down as a DK one. So number 9 is the Camero. Now, Adam's mum knitted a little Camero for Jensen, and I love it so much. I love it so much. So I'm going to have to knit an adult size version, probably not in matching colours, to be honest, because the colours that I knitted for this cardigan are the ones that I've knitted for Jensen's Camero. So I'll probably do it in a different colour, just so that I've got a variety in my hand knits, but I do love those colours. The pattern, the Camero, is by Tanis Lavellee, and it's a DK weight jumper, and it starts from 29 inches up to 59 inches. So there is 2 separate patterns to purchase, the little Camero and the adult Camero. So this is the adult Camero I'm talking about today. So we've got 9 garments that I want to knit this year. So I thought, actually, if I did sort of 1 a month roughly, I think that's doable. Obviously there's the only fingering weight one I've got is the swallow sweater, so that's going to be quite time consuming, so that might take a bit longer. And I know the Wonder sport weight, but it's still a little bit thicker than the fingering weight, so I'm hoping that I can manage to do that in maybe 2 months as well. Fingers crossed. So in between the next section of sort of hand knits, which is going to be for Jensen, I thought I'd do some household sort of items that I've got planned. This includes blankets, of course. So this is knitted and crochet as well, but actually the majority of these things are crochet. I wanted to have on a list so that I've got them recorded down, so I do actually go and do them. On last year's list, I've got 3 things from last year, and I've put them on the list again. That's the Weekender blanket by Sandra Paul. Now, I still really want to do this pattern, and I've got those yarns that I showed you from Giddy Yarns on last week's podcast that I really want to do that. I might do the hexagons a little bit bigger, we shall see. I'll just see how it goes once I've started, but I really want to cake those yarns up this week so I can start doing at least a few little hexagons. I'm going to do it in fingering weight yarn because the advent I've got is fingering weight. Number 2 is the Suzette double hanging basket, and that is by Agathe Rotman, and it's in a bulky weight yarn. And then I've got a similar thing which is called the Fleur hanging basket by Mel Harrison, and that is a bulky weight yarn, and they're both sort of hangers to hang on the wall. I thought they'd be ideal for storing things in my craft room. So they're both bulky weight yarns. The fleur hanging basket though is actually free, whereas the other ones are paid for. So the next thing on my list at number 4 is the bowhan, and I thought this was really cool. So it's basically a bowl made of cord but also crocheted together as well, which I thought was super interesting. I thought that would make a lovely piece for the lounge to pop little bits and bobs in. So I thought that would be interesting to have a go at. That is by De Brosset in a bulky weight yarn. And number 5 is a diamond throw. It's by the same designer, De Brosset, I think that's how you pronounce it. And that is an Aran weight blanket. And I just love those bobbles. They're just beautiful texture. And I think there was a cushion version of the same pattern as well. But I thought that would be really nice for the lounge. And that's in an Aran weight yarn, so that would be quite quick to crochet up. Number 6. Is my Pop Stars blanket. I've designed myself, and that's out at the end of the month, but I will talk a bit more about that at the end of the podcast. But I have put it on my list because it is something that I'm going to do throughout this year. Once a month I'm going to use my mini sets from the yarn clubs. I'm going to do a block each month so that by the end of the year it's pretty much done. So now I'm going on to the children's garments. Now these are gorgeous. Just brace yourself for the cuteness. Number 1 is the Fox Baby Yoke Sweater, and I just, oh my goodness. It's by Claudia Quintanilla, I think that's how you say it, from Knit. And the size range goes from 3 to 6 months up to a child 4, which I assume is age 4. And that is in a DK weight yarn. I think that's lovely little bit of colour work. It's just going to look gorgeous, and the colours in that sample were just absolutely perfect. I loved them. Like the turquoise teal colours and the actual red of the fox, really gorgeous. So I thought that is going to be perfect for Jensen. Number 2, Festive Yoke Kids Pullover by Skein Knits, and I thought this would be lovely for Jensen to have a hand knitted Christmas jumper, so I have to do that. That is from age quarter, she's put, up to 12 years, so that's quite a big size range as well, so that's brilliant. That is a sport weight pullover, and obviously you've got a bit of colour work on the top there. Number 3 is the Sorrel Mini. Now I do have a sorrel that's my size, and it is a gorgeous pattern. I love the textured stitches around the neck, and that is a pattern by Wool and Pine, and the size range is 0 to 6 months to 10 to 12 years, so that's a nice big size range as well. That's in a fingering weight yarn. Number 4 is the Hush by Tin Can Knits, and it's got a gorgeous twist like a cable around the neck, and I've never seen this one by Tin Can Knits before. I don't know how old it is, but it is absolutely gorgeous, and I thought for Jensen that would be really lovely. That goes from 0 to 6 months up to an adult XL in a worsted weight yarn, so that is perfect for a whole family to wear as well. Number 5 is the Mountain Mist by Tin Can Knits. Obviously I've gone a bit Tin Can Knits this year. I'm just so impressed with the size ranges really. That goes from 0 to 6 months up to an adult men's XXL, so fantastic. Worsted weight yarn, and I just love the simplicity of the colour work around the neck. I thought that would be really lovely for Jensen. What I've tried to do when I've been picking things for Jensen, I was picking things that look quite different, so you could really tell that it was that pattern. They're quite distinctive patterns. Number 6 is the Urban Hiker by Tin Can Knits, and this is a bulky cardigan that's zipped up the front, so I thought that would be brilliant because sometimes it's just nice to have something that's really easy to get on that you can zip up the front. Adam is a great big fan of zips. I thought I'd knit something that has something easy to put on. So that goes from 1 to 2 years up to 4XL, so another massive range. So that's brilliant. Number 7 is the Bumble Sweater by Tin Can Knits again. That's an Aran weight jumper, and it's got this beautiful textured stitch with 2 colours, and I just thought that was absolutely gorgeous. That goes from 0 to 3 months up to 4XL for the adult as well, so that's another good value for money pattern if you're going to knit several versions of it. Number 8 is the So Faded pint size. Now obviously because I'm really into my comfort fade cardi, I thought I'd do a faded thing for Jensen, but this is just a jumper that has a fade, and you can use bits of leftover fingering weight yarn, which is brilliant. So I'm going to have a go at using up some yarn that I've got in my stash, so that'll be great. It says you only need about 100 grams for I think it was 2 to 3, something like that. So I can just use odds and ends up. That'll be brilliant. That's a fingering weight jumper which goes from 12 months to age 12, so that's quite a reasonable size range. But I know she does So Faded jumper in adult sizes as well, but I have never knitted that myself. Number 9 is the Flax DK. Now Jensen has had some flax lights before when he was younger, but I thought the DK version would be just nice and cozy. So that's another simple one really. That's not as distinctive as the other ones, but because I was so pleased with the fingering weight ones that we've knitted previously, or Adam's mum's knitted previously, I thought we'd give that a go. And that is a free pattern as well. It goes from sizes 0 to 6 months up to 6XL, so that's a massive size range and a free one, so that's fantastic. So that's obviously DK because it's called the Flax DK, but oh, so many lovely things I want to knit. I will probably get Adam's mum to knit a lot of the children's jumpers for Jensen, but I might have a go at some of the colour work ones myself. But especially that fox one. I've got my eye on knitting that fox one. That looks like a lot of fun. I haven't got any shawls and things listed because I've probably got enough shawls at the moment, although most likely I'll cast one on during the year, especially as I'll probably do the Stephen West Mystery Knit Along in sort of, is it October? Yeah, it's not October, isn't it? I'll probably do the Mystery Knit Along in October, so that should be on the list there somewhere. I'll probably put that on the end of my household knits because it needs to go somewhere, doesn't it? And it's not a garment, so there you go. So I'm definitely going garment crazy this year. I'm really enjoying the coziness of things, and I really feel like it's time to fill my wardrobe with more knitwear in terms of actual garments rather than so many shawls. I have got a lot of shawls. So right, now I'm on to the next section. It's the Ask Me Anything section. Now I had a question from Becky from the Ask Me Anything thread on the Ravelry group, and she was saying that she'd also got the Joyful Advent that I showed on the last week's podcast that Shannon organised from Blue Fern Yarns, and she wanted to know what was I going to do with it. I really don't know just yet, but I do have some suggestions for you guys. So it's 12 20 gram minis, and there are a few things I've got that I've already knitted, or Adam's mum knitted, like this blanket that you can actually get out of 12 20 gram minis that were in this smaller advent. So if you're doing a 12 days of Christmas, these projects will be perfect for those, because you sort of finish it off rather than it just going into a blanket. These are finished with 20 grams 12 20 gram minis. So this is a habitation throw, and this is one of the habitation throws I've got that Adam's mum's knitted for Jensen, and they are very useful. I would suggest if you're knitting something for a baby, a new baby, a blanket is a brilliant idea, because they're just so useful. We must have about 5 or 6 blankets and we use them all. They go in rotation. There's one in the car, there's one in his pushchair, you know, and they're obviously, so they're washed as well. I have got this is knitted in merino, superwash merino, and I have popped this in the washing machine, I think, because I think, well, it's a blanket and it sometimes gets sick on it when the babies are young. So I do want to wash it in the washing machine, so I just did it in a delicate wash, and that's come out absolutely fine. Obviously, if you are knitting it for somebody who doesn't knit and they don't do any sort of washing in terms of delicate things, you might want to do it in something that's even more washable, like an acrylic or something. But habitation throw is a lovely knit, and you can also have it if you haven't got children, you can put it over your knee, keep you nice and cozy when you're having a knit in front of the telly. So that is a lovely pattern to do. And it's just nice that it uses up 12 20-gram minis as well, which is lovely. I think she actually wrote the original pattern for 24 10-gram minis actually, so this, I just did it so that I did twice as much as she said for each of the 20 grams, so that it used 12 up. The next thing I've got to show you is the Soundwave cowl. Now this is my pattern, I'm afraid. So this is a DK weight version, but there is instructions to do a fingering weight version of this as well. It's got a zigzag pattern all the way around, which is like a sound wave. And this was, I think it was it last year or I don't even know. One of the advents I designed for. But this is the small one. There's this small circumference one, and there's a larger one as well, which is longer, which you can wrap around twice. Because this is DK, I used quite a lot of the 20 grams of each of the minis, but if you're doing the fingering weight one, you could do the longer one with 20 gram, 12 20-gram minis, rather than this shorter one that I've got in the DK. But it is written for DK and fingering weight yarn, but you can just decide on whether you do one for a single wrap around your neck or 2 wraps around your neck. So this one just goes around your neck once, but then the longer one you can wrap around twice to make it a little bit cozier. I thought because it's DK you don't necessarily need for it to be wrapped around twice anyway for this one, but if you were doing a fingering weight one you might want to do it so it goes around your neck twice. But there we go, that is another pattern that you could do to use your 12 20-gram minis up. And I've dug out a pattern from a couple of years ago that I designed actually. This one, there is lots of options to do 12 20-gram minis or 24 10-gram minis, and there's 2 different sizes for a long and a short one. So the smaller one is made with the 20-gram 12 20-gram minis, which is the same as this. You can make a longer one as well. I actually just used up a load of minis that went really well together in my stash, and it's got some tassels either end, but that's obviously an option you don't have to do. Like so. I'll put this on top of the shawl I've got on. It is pretty cold today, so here you go. But this is a nice little wrap that you get to use up all the minis in one project as well. I just love the tassels on this. They've been squashed in my wardrobe a bit, so they're not as neat as they once were. But there you go. There is some lace panels in this, but you absolutely could omit those and just do it without the lace if you wanted to just sort of knit along the pattern. But that is like a wrap shape that you can knit from your 20-gram minis. I did have a look as well in the Land of Sweets cowl by Helen Stewart as well. That's designed for 24 10-gram minis, but obviously you could just do twice as much with one colour. So that's a cowl that just goes around your neck. It's not sort of double-sided, but that's another option with different stitch details in it. But there are loads of things that you can do. Obviously, if you want to expand on that advent and add to it, you could do a lot of other blanket patterns as well. But hopefully that helps. I do have a video which talks about advent patterns that was from last year that I'm going to link down below. And I know that Giddy Yarns recently did a video on all the different options for knitting your advents out of. I will link both of those videos down below if you're looking to make something out of your advent. I know that I never like opening an advent, scanning it up, caking it up and knitting it up straight away. I like to think about it into the new year. I do have 3 advent calendars that I've bought from other people now that I need to think of projects to make with them, so I really need to make a start on that as well. I just need more hours in the day, I think. So now I'm on to my what's occurring section. So again, I'm just going to remind people that it will be Barbara's Day Out, our sort of crafty meetup, on the 17th of March at 2 PM at Dunstan Hall in the Terrace Bar, if you're interested in joining us. You don't have to tell me you're coming, just come along and we'll just have a nice relaxed chat about what we've been making. And there is tea and coffee and cake, and they do meals in there if you want to, but we don't need to book a table, we can just turn up and order what we like for the table. last week I did some subscriber giveaways and some giveaways for the make-alongs on Ravelry as well. I had 2 people that have not got back to me yet, so that's Michelle from Australia for one of the subscriber giveaways, and Majesty 1 from Ravelry, which was for the Christmas craft along. So please make sure that you get back to me with your full name and postal address. I will never ask you for anything else if I contact you regarding the giveaway, just your full name and postal address. So if you do get any people trying to ask you for other things, it is not me. I will only ask you for your full name and address so I can post you your prize out. So next I have a shop update section. So I'm excited to announce I've designed a little kit for sort of Valentine's Day theme. If you're like me and were a fan of Neighbours in the 80s, you might like the song Especially For You as well, which is Kylie Minogue and Jason Donovan. So I've designed this little kit inspired by that song. Super soppy and romantic, and I'm not going to show you what the things are going to look like, but it is inspired by a range of sort of muted pinks and purples. So that's a little bit of a clue. But you will receive a little canvas bag. This is different than I normally do. It will be a flat, it won't be a box bottom one, but it'll be a small canvas bag with a free motion applique design on it. That will be all fully lined and everything, but it'll be a zipped one, and it'll just be a small one to pop in your handbag or in a bag to take about to do like a small knitting project on. And in with the bag it'll come with 6 20-gram mini skeins that are designed in the colours that all go together, and there'll be some little bit extra bits and bobs like stitch markers. So that'll come in a kit together. So they'll be available on my website from tomorrow the 19th of January until the 28th of January, and then they will be shipped on the 2nd of February, so that they hopefully will get to you in time for Valentine's Day, whether it's for somebody you love like your mum or your best friend, or it might be somebody, or you might be getting your partner to buy it for you or buying it for your partner. So I thought that'd be something just to tell somebody that you love them, or you could just buy it for yourself like I do. Oh dear. I just thought I'd mention that the Pop Stars blanket, which I showed you on last week's podcast, this is one block of it. This blanket will be available for sale. This is only one block, obviously it'll come out a lot bigger than this. Well, that's if you want it to be big. Will be for sale at the end of this month, so the 31st of January. That will be on the website. This is in a DK weight yarn that I've knitted this sample out of, but you can knit it in fingering weight yarn. All the instructions for fingering weight yarn are there as well, and I have designed it so that you can, if you want to, straighten the sides out as well to make it a square blanket. So all those pieces I've designed to go in there to make it a square blanket will be in the pattern as well. What I'm going to do is I'm going to release this pattern at the end of January, and because people won't have perhaps had the chance to purchase the Pop Stars kits from the January sets, I'm actually leaving the 2 and 3 month bundles up on my website. So if you do purchase January and February together, they're still available to purchase on my website, or if you wanted to purchase January, February and March together, those ones are all together. So if you do purchase further months, then you can get hold of the January as well, but they won't be posted until the last month of your bundle that you've purchased is there. So there we go. These minis on this block are just some samples that I had in my stash, I think. So this one's chocolate, my colourway chocolate. This one's Lucky Star. This one was out of an advent, a previous advent, and so was this one. And this one's Nobody Does It Better. So some of the yarns are in my shop, but they're just ones that I had hanging around to just do a sample of. So they're not the same as any of the Pop Stars sets for this year, so I'm not giving you any spoilers. So the pattern itself is, like I said, is available in DK and fingering weight yarns. It is double-sided, so it looks pretty good from both sides. depending on how well you sew your ends in, I suppose. It is modular, so you're making each of these diamonds one piece at a time and then sewing them together. So it is quite good if you're carrying the project around. You can knit one at a time, and then when you've got them all together at home, you can sew them together. You can use DPNs or circular needles for these. I used a set of DPN needles with some needle stoppers on either end to do mine, just because it was nice, and they're quite small needles then. I did mine by sewing mine together, which I have got a tutorial that I just need to edit before I put this up, before the pattern comes out. But I have got a tutorial on how I sewed them together, but you could also crochet them together as well if you didn't like sewing the pieces together. And this particular, this is the star version, which I'm calling the Pop Stars blanket, and there was the original NestBox orientation, which will look like something like this. Which will look like something like this, repeated, with the nest boxes all next to each other. So if you had, this is obviously the shawl version, but if you did the nest box version of the blanket, you'd have repeated blocks all the way across in like a 3D pattern. This is the shawl version I've got on. This is a DK one as well, because it's nice and cozy. The shawl itself, the NestBox shawl, is in fingering weight and DK yarns as well. What I'm going to do, I did think last week I was going to do it as a separate pattern, but just to make my life easier, and also to say thank you to everybody who purchased the advents and have already purchased the NestBox shawl. If you've already purchased that, you will get the update for the blanket pattern when that comes out at the end of January. You will get the pattern update for the blanket and the shawl all together, so all the pattern details will be in one pattern. But I will put it on Ravelry as two separate patterns, because it's just easier to see when you've got one photo, but if you buy one of them, then you'll get both of them, all the instructions together. Last of all, I do have an update going in the shop tomorrow for a whole host of gorgeous opal yarns. So there is some fingering weight ones, and there's a few DK ones as well. So there were a few new ranges out, but I didn't actually purchase every single one because I didn't like them all, so I've just picked the ones that I really liked to stock in my shop. So hopefully you like them too. If you'd like to see a range of colours that I'm not stocking, just let me know, and I will try to add those to the ones that I've been purchasing in the opal yarn ranges. But I think there's some more coming soon in the next month or so, so watch out on my website for those as well. So next week there will be a video, but what the video will be like depends on what I've got up to in the next week or so. If I get a lot done on my cardigan and a few other projects, I'll do a proper video, but I might do a crafty vlog day and show you what I've been up to, depending on what I manage to get up to. So I will see you next week, but I don't know what I'm going to put up yet. We shall see. If you have any requests for tutorial videos, do let me know about those as well. So I think that's all for today. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you'd like to see more, and I shall see you in the next video. Bye!